My parents sold my car to fund my brother's weddings, so I vanished without warning, and now they're begging me to come back. I'm a 24-year-old guy, and my car wasn't just transportation, it was freedom I earned. It wasn't fancy. A used Toyota Camry with a dent in the back bumper and a slightly peeling roof. But to me, it was everything. I bought that car with my own money. I earned bagging groceries after class, cleaning offices at night, and skipping out on weekends with friends. I spent 4 years grinding through college and working 2 jobs just to save up. When I finally signed the papers and took the keys, I didn't feel like a student anymore. Felt like a man who made something happen without needing anyone's permission. That kind of self-sufficiency didn't get applause. If anything, it got ignored. My older brother, Ryan, was the star, the golden boy. He barely passed his classes, but when he did, Mom posted about it like he graduated summa cum laude. Dad once gave him $3,000 just for finding a job interview. I never got that kind of help, and I never asked for it, because deep down I knew I wasn't the favorite hand. I stopped trying to be. My car was my badge of independence. It got me to job interviews, therapy sessions I couldn't tell my family about, and the long night drives that kept me sane. No one else understood that. Not my parents, who still treated me like I was Ryan's understudy. And definitely not Ryan, who joked that my rust bucket would fall apart before I got a girlfriend. But that car meant I could say no. No to borrowing money. No to waiting on someone else. No to pretending I didn't see the way my parents lit up when Ryan walked in and dimmed when I spoke, and that's why what they did next broke something I didn't know could still be. Broken dot. It started with my mom's voice on speakerphone, filled with that familiar excitement that only ever showed up when it was about Ryan. "Your brother proposed," she squealed. "We're finally going to have a big family wedding." I remember sitting there in my small apartment, staring at the pile of bills on my kitchen table, forcing myself to sound happy. "That's great, Mom. I'm really happy for him." But even as I said it, I knew what was coming. Every milestone Ryan hit somehow turned into my responsibility. His graduation, his first apartment, even his birthday trips. Somehow, I always ended up pitching in more than I could afford, because family helps family. Within a week, the group chat was flooded with messages about venues, suits, and catering. Ryan wanted a destination wedding, something classy, as he called it. My parents acted like they were funding a royal coronation. They booked a lakeside resort, a designer for decorations, and even hired a live band. Every time I gently hinted at the cost, Mom brushed it off. "It's once in a lifetime. Don't be negative." I started noticing subtle guilt. My dad would say things like, "Ryan's done so much for us. It's our turn to make it special," which was ironic because Ryan had never done anything except take. I tried to stay detached help where I could, show up for the fittings, smile when they called me the responsible one, but something felt off. My parents were suddenly secretive about money. Whispers stopped when I entered the room. One night, while I was helping Dad move boxers in the garage, he muttered, "We'll figure out the finances somehow. Don't worry." But I did worry, because when my family said somehow, it usually meant me. And deep down, I had a sinking feeling this time. There somehow was going to cost me something I could never replace. It was a Sunday evening when everything changed. I'd taken a weekend bus trip to visit a friend out of town. Nothing major, just a cheap way to unwind. When I got back home, I walked up the driveway, fumbling for my keys like always. But my car wasn't there at first. I thought maybe I'd parked around the corner and just forgot. I walked up and down the block twice. Nothing. Panic started setting in, that sick, crawling feeling in your gut when something's very wrong. I called my mom. Her tone was weirdly casual. "Yeah, about the car. We had to sell it." My heart stopped. "You what?" "We had no choice," she said, as if that explained anything. Ryan's wedding deposit went over budget. We needed a fast solution. I didn't speak. "ICOULDN. Single quotes too, Dad chimed in from the background. "You weren't using it much anyway, right? You've been working from home. It's not like it was essential." I was frozen. My car, the thing I'd sacrificed for years to earn, the one piece of freedom I had. Gone, sold, and not even a warning, not a question, just gone. "That car was in my name," I finally said. "You had no right," Mom snapped. "Don't be dramatic. We're family." What's yours is ours. Those words echoed in my head like poison. I hung up without another word. I just stood in that empty driveway, staring at the oil stain where my car used to be. My fingers were shaking. My chest felt hollow. It wasn't just a vehicle they sold the only thing I owned that no one had ever handed me, mocked me for, or taken credit for. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about the car. It was about everything they'd taken from me without ever asking. After that call, I didn't speak to them for days. But the wedding circus didn't stop. If anything, it intensified. My phone buzzed non-stop with messages from the family group chat, pictures of floral arrangements, links to tux rental sites, jokes about dance rehearsals, not a single mention of my car, not an ounce of apology. Then came the kicker. My mom sent me a message that read, "Need you to be at the cake tasting Saturday. Ryan really wants you there. And bring good vibes. We don't need negativity right now. Good vibes." I stared at that sentence until my vision blurred. Somehow, I was the problem for reacting like a human being after they stole from me. And yes, I wasn't mincing words anymore. That car wasn't a family heirloom or a communal ride. It was mine. Title, insurance, everything. But when I showed up that Saturday because some small, exhausted part of me still clung to the illusion of being the good son, everyone acted like nothing had happened. My aunt greeted me with, "There's the responsible one." My dad patted my back. Ryan joked, "Finally showed up. Huh? Thought you'd bailed on us like your car." I forced a laugh that sounded like glass breaking in my throat. The bakery was loud and bright. Everyone was passing forks of buttercream around, arguing about fondant. Meanwhile, I sat there in the corner, hearing my own thoughts louder than the conversations. No one mentioned the car. No one cared. And the longer I sat there, the clearer it became. I wasn't part of the celebration. I was part of the utility crew. My role wasn't brother, it was resource. When Ryan stood up to toast the dream team that made it all possible, he didn't even look my way, not once. That night, I didn't go home. I drove around in a rideshare for hours, just circling the city, trapped in a celebration that had gutted me. And I knew something had to give, because if I didn't pull away soon, they'd keep carving pieces out of me until there was nothing left. The breaking point came a week later. I was already running late for work, juggling a backpack, coffee, and a half-dead phone. When the bus I now relied on broke down halfway across town, I had to sprint 3 blocks just to catch a connection, soaked in sweat. Humiliated. When I finally got home that night, feet blistered, shoulders sore, I opened the family group chat to find a new message. "Mom, we need you at the venue walkthrough tomorrow. Everyone's making time. Don't disappoint us." That was it. No "how are you?" No "thanks again for helping." Just another demand, like my life was a calendar they got to scribble all over. I didn't respond. Instead, I called them. The phone rang once, twice, then clicked, "Hello." My mom answered, chipper. "I need to ask you something," I said, voice low. "Do you even feel bad about the car?" Silence, then a sigh. "We already went over this. You're still upset?" "Upset? You sold my car like it was your old couch. You didn't even tell me until it was gone." Dad cut in, voice sharp. "Lower your tone. That car was just sitting there. We made a decision for the greater good." "For Ryan's good," I snapped. "Everything's always about Ryan." Ryan's voice suddenly chimed in on speaker. "Whoa, what's with the drama? You've been bitter since forever. Maybe if you had a girlfriend, we'd be celebrating you too." Something inside me snapped clean. "You know what?" I said. "Steady now. You all deserve each other. I'm done playing the spare tire in this family." "Don't be immature," Mom hissed. "It's family. We help each other." "No, you use each other, and I'm the only one who ever got used." I hung up, no yelling, no threats, just silence. And in that silence, I made a decision that would change everything. I didn't tell anyone, not my coworkers, not my friends, not even my landlord. One night, I packed 2 duffel bags, cleared out my tiny studio, and left the key on the counter. No dramatic note, no social media post, just absence. I'd reached a point where explaining my pain felt more exhausting than living through it. So I didn't explain. I just disappeared, a friend from college. James had once offered me a couch if I ever needed to get away from the madness. I'd laughed it off at the time, but now I clung to that memory like a lifeline. I texted him at 2 a.m. "Is that couch offer still good?" His response came 10 minutes later. "Always. Come through." By sunrise, I was on a train headed 3 states over. It wasn't glamorous. James lived in a cramped apartment with chipped paint and noisy pipes. But for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I didn't have to pretend. I wasn't someone's afterthought or resource. I was just a guy with 2 bags, no car, and the bitter taste of freedom. I blocked my parents, then Ryan, then every extended family member who'd ever praised him and pitied me in the same breath. I ghosted the wedding chat completely. It was brutal at first, like cutting off a limb without anesthesia. But with every day that passed, the silence became less suffocating and more sacred. Then one morning, while digging through the last pocket of my backpack, I found something I'd completely forgotten. The title to my car. My name, my signature, my ownership. They hadn't asked for it. They hadn't needed it. Which meant whoever sold that car faked it. I stared at the paper, heart pounding. A new kind of clarity forming in my chest. This wasn't just betrayal, it was fraud. And suddenly, I wasn't just hurt anymore, I was ready. I didn't respond. Not to the missed calls. Not to the voicemails. Not to the passive-aggressive messages from cousins trying to fish for gossip. I disappeared, and that disappearance screamed louder than any confrontation ever could. At first, I think they assumed it was a phase, a tantrum. Ryan probably laughed it off. My parents probably told people I was just stressed. But as the weeks passed, and I still didn't show up for fittings, dinners, or cake tastings, the tone of everything started to shift. My mom's voicemails turned from cheery reminders to clipped, frustrated demands. "We need you here. Stop being selfish." Then they morphed into guilt trips. "Family doesn't turn its back like this. You're breaking your father's heart." Eventually, her voice cracked on one of the recordings. "Just call me back, please." I didn't. I couldn't. James and I were turning his cramped place into something of a refuge. He let me take over the storage room, and I started applying for remote gigs again. I was rebuilding, not just my income, but my identity. But it was strange watching from the outside, seeing Instagram stories of the wedding prep, the hashtag they made for Ryan and his fiancée, the staged, candid shots of champagne and laughter. And in the middle of it all, one post that made my blood boil. Ryan had uploaded a photo of himself holding a groomsman survival kit, with the caption, "Some of us are built for loyalty, others run." I stared at that post for a long time, not out of hurt, out of disbelief. Even in my silence, they found a way to make me the villain. But the best part of being gone, they could no longer control the narrative, and I was just getting started. It was a Thursday morning, rain tapping against the window. James was already out for work, and I was making coffee in his kitchen, finally feeling like life was settling into something that resembled peace. That's when I saw it, an email from my mom. Subject: "Please read from mom.jameson@icloud.com." I don't know why I opened it. Maybe part of me was still that kid who wanted her to finally understand. Maybe, I thought, just maybe, it would be the apology I never got. But it wasn't that. It was worse. "Your father had to take out a loan after you disappeared. We were counting on you to be part of this family, not walk away when things got hard. Your silence is hurting everyone. You think you're punishing us, but you're tearing this family apart. Ryan's wedding was supposed to bring us together. Please don't ruin it." Not a single sentence about the car. Not a shred of remorse for what they did. Just blame. Like I was the one who shattered everything. I read it 3 times. Then I sat there, gripping the edge of the table so hard my knuckles turned white. I couldn't breathe. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. They still didn't get it to them. I was just a tool that had suddenly stopped working, a problem to be fixed, not a person to be respected. And the worst part, they were playing victim, crying about loans, about broken families, like I had betrayed them. That email didn't just reopen the wound, it dug deeper. It made me question everything. Was I really being cruel? It was disappearing too harsh. But then I looked over at the car title again, my name, in bold. The proof of what they took from me without a second thought, and I realized I wasn't breaking the family. I was just refusing to be broken by them anymore. I don't know what pushed me to do it, Gar, curiosity, or maybe the tiny voice inside me that still wanted validation. But a few days after that email, I called a lawyer. Not a fancy one, just someone local who specialized in consumer and property law. I explained everything: the car, the forged sale, the missing title that I'd suddenly rediscovered. He was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "Can you send me a photo of the title?" I snapped a picture and emailed it while my leg bounced under the table. A few minutes later, his reply came in: "If your name is the only one on that title, they couldn't legally sell the car. That's fraud, depending on how it was sold. You might even have a case for identity theft." Identity theft. The words hit like a THUNDERCLAP. He went on to explain that whoever sold the car would have had to sign over ownership in my name, meaning someone, likely my dad, had forged my signature. He advised me to file a police report and let the dealership know immediately. I hung up and just sat there. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. Fraud, forgery. The people who raised me had crossed from emotional manipulation into criminal territory. For years, I told myself they were just selfish, controlling, blind to how their favoritism hurt me. But this wasn't blindness. This was intentional. I called the dealership next. They confirmed the sale. The buyer's documents matched my name, but the signature wasn't mine. Not even close. The manager hesitated before saying, "The man who brought it in said his son gave permission." Middle-aged, gray hair, wedding ring. Sound familiar? My stomach twisted. Yeah, it did that night. I couldn't sleep. Every memory, every fake apology, every family helps family speech replayed in my head, and for the first time in my life, I saw them for what they truly were, not misguided, not oblivious, but predators who called it love. I didn't scream. I didn't call. I didn't threaten. Instead, I wrote a cold, clear, legally sound letter. No emotion, no anger, just facts. I printed 2 copies and mailed them, one to my parents' house and one to their work address, just to be sure they read it. It started like this: "To whom it may concern, on date, my personal vehicle, a make model registered solely in my name, was sold without my consent. This constitutes fraudulent transfer of property and forged documentation, punishable by law. Enclosed is a copy of the title proving sole ownership. You had no legal right. You knew this." I attached a printout of the DMV guidelines. I even highlighted the part about falsifying signatures being a felony. I didn't demand the car back. I didn't ask for money. I ended it simply: "I owe you nothing. You raised a son you never listened to. I raised myself. This is the last communication you'll receive, unless initiated by my attorney." Signed my full name, no love, no from, no warmth. Just closure. James read it before I mailed it. "Brutal," he said quietly. But honestly, kind of poetic. I felt numb, but also clean. Like I had finally removed something rotten that had been festering inside me for years. I wasn't just cutting contact. I was cutting the narrative they had wrapped around me like a noose. No more being the quiet helper. No more being guilted into sacrifice. They'd violated more than property. They violated trust. Legally, emotionally. And for once, I wasn't just walking away. I was documenting the damage. And for people like them, that kind of truth hurts more than any insult ever. Could I drop the letter in the mailbox the next morning, and I never looked back. The silence lasted for about 3 weeks. Then it all came flooding back. It started with a voicemail from my mother. Her voice was raw, brittle, like she'd been crying for hours. "Please, sweetheart, we didn't know it would go this far. Just call us. Talk to us. We'll fix it, I swear." I didn't respond. A day later, my dad emailed me from a new account. His usual work address must have been blocked. I'm not going to excuse what happened. I just want to talk, man to man. There it was. The first admission, not quite accountability, but definitely panic. They were scared, not just of losing me, but of what I now knew. Then came Ryan's message, the one that surprised me most. "Hey, they're not okay. Mom barely eats. Dad's been out of it for weeks. I don't know what you wrote in that letter, but you proved your point. Just come home." Funny, after years of being dismissed, ignored, and overshadowed, now they wanted me back. Now they realized I existed beyond being a favor dispenser, But it wasn't revenge I felt. It was peace, because I wasn't tempted. Not even a little. I'd gotten a new job remote, flexible, actually fulfilling. I was saving up for another car. James and I were planning to move into a better apartment together next month. I was building something that didn't rely on being anyone's scapegoat. For the first time, their chaos wasn't mine to fix. Their tears, their panic, their fractured little kingdom all existed in a separate universe I no longer belonged to. And the more they begged, the more I knew I'd made the right decision. They weren't crying because they missed me. They were crying because they lost control, and I had no intention of giving it. It's been 6 months. I've moved into a modest apartment with actual sunlight pouring through the windows. I wake up when I want. I work from home. I bought a second-hand car, nothing fancy, but this one, mine again. Paid for with money I earned on my own terms. No guilt, no strings, no invisible price tag with Ryan's wedding scribbled on it. Sometimes I still think about them. I won't pretend I don't. The silence can feel sharp some nights, like a blade I forgot I was holding. But then I remember what silence used to feel like sitting at that bakery table, surrounded by laughter, while no one even acknowledged the part of me that was quietly breaking. That wasn't family, that was performance. Now when I laugh, it's real. When I speak, no one talks over me. No one treats my value like a currency to be traded for someone else's celebration. And the truth is, I didn't vanish. I escaped. Escaped a house where love had terms. Escaped a family where theft wore the mask of sacrifice. Escaped a brother who grew fat on attention, while I lived off scraps of validation. Some distant relatives still try to reach out. Cousins asking if the drama is over yet. An uncle who wants to have a man-to-man talk about forgiveness. But I don't answer, because forgiveness isn't owed, especially not when the apology was never real. They lost me the day they sold something I bled to earn. Not because I needed the car, but because I needed to believe I mattered to them, and they proved without hesitation that I didn't. So now, I matter to me. I don't need revenge. I don't need them to grovel. I've got peace. I've got power, and I've got the keys to a life that finally feels like mine.